All right, let's look at this one. Let's look at this one. This is, here, let's look at the vitals first. This is Tomma Abts, German painter, born in 1967, I think. Title is 6, Roman numeral 6, 2022, oil on canvas, 34 by 25 inches. Zoom back in. So I'm just going to look at it, try and analyze it a little bit. I'm going to try and notice as much as I can about this. And, based on just what is here in the painting, maybe try and come to some kind of, I guess, like a conclusion about what this thing is about. And I also like to, it's really fun for me to just look at paintings and try and, again, just based on all of the component parts of the painting, try and kind of put myself into the mind of the artist, into their, maybe not into their mind. I don't want to mean that to say that. I don't mean that to be sort of some kind of grand thing, just more so to just kind of imagine the thought process, which I think is you can kind of do when you're looking at abstraction, at least. I'm sure you can do it with any kind of painting, but I feel like if you've made a lot of paintings, you made a lot of abstract paintings, you can kind of imagine the decision-making process based on just what's present in the painting. I like to do that too, anyway. So I'll do some of that and, or a lot of that. And maybe when I'm done or at the end, we'll pull up what the kind of official text around these paintings is this is on David Zwirner's website, so we'll check that out and see how closely my analysis aligns with what they've got down. Yeah, so here's my little drawing tool here. So I think that, right off the bat, it's a 2D geometric abstract painting, but most conspicuous, the most conspicuous thing in this painting is this trompe l'oeil drop shadow here, which you don't typically see a lot of this kind of painting. And by this kind of painting, I mean flat geometric abstraction, almost never contains this kind of illusionism. Not that not that this is a new thing, but it's like pretty rare. We could definitely pull up some painters who make these sort of illusionistic abstract paintings, specifically using trompe l'oeil techniques, which, but by and large, this is uncommon. And I mean, it's used like to great effect in this painting. It's so simple, but so powerful. It's really fun to look at. So yeah, to me, just right off the top of my head, my automatic thoughts are like, this painting is about the relationship or the sort of collision. I don't know, collision isn't the right word, but like the union of this kind of a gesture, this trompe l'oeil gesture with flat geometric abstraction. And I mean, it's kind of a bold thing to say like what the painting's about or whatever. It's about more than that also, but I think if you take this out, if you take this shadow out, this is still a fun painting to look at, but it's not as remarkable as it is with the shadow in it. And like I said, it's an uncommon gesture to make for abstract painters who are doing like 2D geometric abstraction like this, really flat geometric abstraction. It's really uncommon for you to be doing that. So like this is what this painting is about. Um, and now let's go through and just notice as much stuff as we can because it's about other things too, but like this is the focal point, I think. So one of the other kind of really obvious things is that it's rounded out here. This stretcher itself is rounded on this side. So you have, it's pretty cool. You have sort of three levels of space or three kind of depictions of space. One of them isn't a depiction, it's just actual three-dimensional space, being created, or this gesture, I should say, of the artwork is like actual three-dimensional space. All paintings, of course, are on stretchers, so they're all kind of like, 3D to some degree. But this is like another really explicit gesture that you have to make very deliberately. Like it's a super deliberate thing to do. So you have this is really cool, actually. You have this like 3D space and this sort of three-dimensional shape in the real world, which is it like, I don't know what I imagine that this came first, the idea to, let me put this another way. You have this real world 3D shape that's sort of in concert with this disc, this 2D disc. And then you have this pretend space, this drop shadow that creates the illusion of 3D space. So it's a really nice kind of moment going from real space, real three-dimensional space, two-dimensional space, and then into pretend back into pretend or into pretend three-dimensional space. It's fun to look at. I mean, it's a joy. And then you have a little bit more up here. This is kind of, this is much more, I mean, it's effective. The further back, I can't zoom out, but like the further back you're from the painting, the more effective this indication that like this is sort of like crimped or something, that the canvas is bent or the image is bent. Like this is another sort of subtle indication of three-dimensional space. Again, it's just like the bare minimum gesture you could make to translate from this really flat 2D space into the indication of trompe-l'oeil illusionistic space. It's fun to look at. And this is totally one of these paintings. This is sort of a corny thing to say or like a cliche or something, but this is one of those paintings that is much more than the sum of its parts. Like, if we just take inventory for a second of what's here, you've got these diagonal alternating gray stripes on their own. Pretty boring. You've got just vertical black and white stripes, and then the inverse here. And then you have this, I guess, concentric circles, like kind of a bullseye shape. It's kind of interesting, but what I'm trying to say is all of the component parts themselves, there's nothing special about them. If you were just picking, these are kind of generic ingredients. But the way that she has arranged them together and created these simple but like really elegant relationships between all of the parts makes this painting just super fun to look at as far as I'm concerned. Something else, I'm just going to notice stuff here, just kind of like randomly. Something I'm noticing about this is that the whole thing goes from lighter to darker from top to bottom. So like, I think if you averaged out this section, and then averaged out this section, this one, this whole section would be lighter than this whole section, which would be lighter than this whole section. I'm quite certain. So that's something. It just kind of goes from light to dark, from top to bottom. I don't know if that's significant. It just is. Yeah, and you've got this. I wonder, I wish I could move this. I wish I could just clip this out. Maybe I'll do this in another video. I can clip. I wish I could just. Whoops. I wish I could just clip out. Sorry, the drawing with the mouse, with this mouse tool, is very difficult. If I had a tablet, it would be easier. But anyway, if I could clip this circle and just roll it over here, I wonder if it would fit perfectly in this implied line. I kind of think it would. And it's just another, subtle or not so subtle. I don't know, it's kind of subtle. It's very elegantly composed, this whole thing. It's just another small gesture that makes this whole thing fun to look at, and for lack of a better word, just really beautiful. It's kind of nice that you've got the curvature of this circle, and then you have, obviously, the shadow has to follow that curvature, and then you have another, and then you have that kind of mirrored over here. So there's a lot of like nice line work that isn't without having any real lines, honestly. Line work, I guess. God, it sounds sort of corny, but I don't know what other, how else to describe, what other word to use, really. It's like, she's creating, like carving up the painting with lines just by changing, alternating the value of the lines, of the actual lines. Anyway. Yeah, I can see. I want to talk about this actually for a second as well. I imagine that and I have no idea, so I'm totally projecting, but I imagine she does a fair bit of drawing to prepare for these things, to work through ideas. And I can visualize this, a piece of paper or a section on a piece of paper drawn out, this dimension. I imagine a larger piece of paper actually with this border for the dimensions of her painting kind of drawn out, and maybe with some cutouts or protractors or some kind of drawing tools or stencils or something. She's kind of like drawing lines and drawing shapes and filling this space. And I imagine at some point she's got like a disc or something that she's using to kind of, move this, to move around this drawing plane. And she tucks it into the corner, right? And thinks, oh, that's cool. But then, then just at some point just like erases this line and goes, oh, why don't we just make the stretcher that shape? Like here, you can imagine the same thing, like just roll the circle over. She has it here. Originally, the painting looked like this on both sides, maybe, or had that same pattern repeated here or something similar. She did the same gesture here and then was like, it's too much or something, and just erased it and thought, okay, we'll build the stretcher like that and go from there. I'm totally just making that up, but it's fun to do, and I wouldn't be surprised either. Another thing is that I kind of feel like she, blocks out, like with all of these lines here, all of these kind of dividing lines. I can kind of imagine them all just being uniformly one way or the other at some point. Like it's easy to imagine this whole top section being, minus overlap of the disc here, just being these thicker alternating grays, and then her being like, it's not enough, and then just simply like carving the space, like literally just drawing a line with a pencil through it, and then based on either just intuition or some internal logic that she has, maybe just shrinking the size of these or like cutting them in half. Or I'd love to know what the, like how she got to that thickness of line, or these thicknesses versus these. Maybe she's just freestyling, just doing whatever comes to mind. Not sure. But anyway, I can imagine it all just being one thing, her drawing a line and then saying, or like saying it's not enough and then carving it out, like building up the complexity little by little. And then doing the same here. And then here, down here also. And then of course here, right? Oh yeah, going back to that, the sort of like different levels of space. You also, this drop shadow kind of, well, and also because because in aggregate, like this collection of lines is darker than this collection of lines. This kind of looks like it's going underneath. Like these black and white lines look like they're underneath these gray lines. I wish I could zoom out. I can't zoom out any further. I feel like it's more of an effect. But then when you add the shadow, this drop shadow for this disc kind of just here sort of doubles as a drop shadow for this larger section. And so that just kind of makes this whole thing feel even more like these black and white lines feel even more like they're passing underneath the diagonal ones. This is a really good moment. I feel like, sorry, there's a fly in here. This is a really good moment that kind of sums up all of the sort of enjoyment or in terms of illusionism, in terms of the collapsing of different kinds of space. I feel like this moment right here kind of has it all, has it all. Because of this shadow, these lines really feel like they're receded, they're behind. But as you just look, as you just follow them up, they just kind of go like do 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 do. They all just sort of pop, snap back into flat 2D space. And I think a lot of the hit of this painting is that just happening kind of over and over again for you as you look at them, just flickering back and forth between that, snapping back and forth between that flat 2D space and shallow illusionistic space. And then in this case, just going off the edge into real space in a really lovely way. Something else that's kind of just sort of popped into my mind is that, and this might be a stretch, but there are these, this is kind of a little bit like, I mean, because this is a shaped canvas, this kind of falls a little bit like into the Frank Stella project. I don't know. He's probably not cool or something anymore. Rest in peace, by the way, Frank Stella. But he did this series of paintings. Gosh, I can't remember what they are right now. Here, let me pull it up. I'll pull it up. One sec. Okay, yeah. So here it is. This is, what does it say? This is, oh, that's just the name of the exhibition. This is Frank Stella. This is from his Cones and Pillars series. I think these were from the 80s. I mean, obviously this is way more like bombastic than Tomma Abts, but um, you know, you've got this collapsing, or you've got just like the use of illusionistic um, illusionistic space. He doesn't use drop shadows. All the drop shadows are real, which is cool, because these are all just like pieces of honeycomb aluminum or something that have been um, carved up and glued together essentially. Um, but you get like actual physical 3D space. Obviously, this canvas, if you want to call it that, this painting surface is like way more eccentric than what Tomma Abts is doing, but it's there. You have this line work that's like indicates illusionistic space, um, and then in Frank Stella's case, you have this like real drop shadows. So just something, I don't know. That's kind of an interesting relationship. Um, I love these paintings also, by the way. I think they're fantastic, but that, anyway, that's for another day. Let's get back to um, Tomma Abts now. All right, so we're back in this. So anyway, that's just a little quick aside, but I think it's worth mentioning. It's part of the fun of um, looking at paintings is, oh, let me get into full screen mode here again. Sorry. There we go. Is, yeah, drawing associations sometimes to things you've seen before. I prefer to do a close read, honestly. I mean, that's like the the driving force, I guess, behind wanting to do these videos is to not really is to just look at paintings for and analyze what's in them, what's right in front of you, and draw your own conclusions about it, just strictly based on what's evident in the painting. Like the exact, to do a close read, like in literature, is like um, you look for, you analyze very closely, you read very closely. In this case, you look very closely. You come up with an inventory of everything that's available in the painting, and then you draw your conclusions strictly based on what's there. To me, that's like the most fun way to at least start out looking at something, because you get to use your own brain for starters. You don't have to have any exterior knowledge. You don't have to have a degree in art history or something, or read whatever the gallery wants you to think about the artworks. You could just use your own two eyes and draw your own conclusions, and if you want to bring in some of your own experience, and then go from there, right? Like, it's just a starting point. But anyway, yeah. What else can we see in this thing? I think I might be pretty close to wrapping up looking at this thing for now, I'd say. Covered a lot of ground. Yeah, I guess what else? One other thing I would say that might be kind of interesting is that maybe it's just worth saying. I don't know. It's not actually interesting, but just worth saying that this painting doesn't depict anything else, um, as far as I can tell. Like, this isn't, zoomed in like a close up of a landscape or anything, something like that. It just is what it is. There are no depictions, which kind of make the drop shadow even more funny, or more fun, because this disc is not a thing. It's literally just it is a two-dimensional shape that is getting a shadow, which is fun, which doesn't exist in the world. Yeah, I think we're pretty close to wrapping this up. So yeah, I guess to summarize then, if I'm going to do that, I'm not going to look at this thing any longer. Um, oh, there's a stain. There's a stain on the painting right there. That's funny. Here, see if we can zoom in. Right there. It's fun to notice little things about it, about these. You can see the texture of the canvas. Yeah, this photo is not super, the resolution is not super great, but it's not bad. And it's actually very generous of them to put such high quality images on the website, I think. Maybe generous isn't the right word. They're selling paintings, so maybe it's not generous at all. Um, it's just smart. Yeah. So before we go look at the text, I think I'll just say that I think this painting, based on what I'm looking at, is really about introducing this kind of shallow, illusionistic trompe l'oeil space into a 2D flat geometric abstract painting, and all of the sort of I guess enjoyment or something that comes from that. Oh yeah, another thing is that I think, you know, the painting is about that because I feel like just physiologically, this like illusionism is very what's the word, like captivating or um, captivating. It draws your attention. It draw like as a human, I feel like whether people like this kind of painting or not, or like illusions or not, they really catch your attention very easily. And so just based on that sort of visceral power of these kinds of this kind of thing, I feel like again, this is the star of the show. And navigating the relationship between the flatness of the painting and the introduction of these kinds of or this kind of a trompe l'oeil mechanism is really the core of the painting. But the to her credit, or the artist's credit, like everything else about the painting, if you did take this shadow out and this was just a disc flat on top of the rest of the stuff, it's still a really fun painting to look at. And um, yeah, and it's all really really sort of masterfully done. Okay, so let's see if we can find some text about this thing, and then um, analyze that in relation to the conclusions that I came up with while looking at it. All right, so this is her profile page, I guess. Yeah, it just says Tomma Abts, born 67, is known for her complex paintings and drawings that showcase her sustained engagement with process and form. Well, that doesn't learn more. That doesn't tell us too much. They don't. They're not. They don't seem willing to take a strong opinion here, or to give us anything. Which is fine. Um, we can see for ourselves, decide for ourselves. Born in Kiel, Germany, Abts studied at da 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 da. Abts' work has been subject big exhibitions, yada yada yada. She won the Turner Prize. That's badass. Okay, so she's a big deal. That's what it says here. Damn, these are. I'm gonna probably look at more of her paintings and analyze them. They're just a joy to look at. Like, even if we just say the same things over and over again, um, it's just fun. Which they're not gonna say here. They're not gonna be like, it's just fun. These are just fun, as much as they would like to, I bet. Um, Gosh, it would be cool to. Here, let's. I want to explore books, know more. I do want to know more, but tell me, how do I find out? All right, let's go back to let's see if we can find something out at this Turner Prize, on this Turner Prize announcement. Okay, here we go. In 2006, Tomma Abts became the first female painter to win the prestigious Turner Prize, organized by Tate Gallery. The award was based on recent exhibitions, including a major solo presentation. The jury, blah, blah, blah. There's no writing about her. Oh, watch a video interview with Tomma Abts filmed on the occasion of her Turner Prize award. Should we watch that? Let's watch this. Maybe we'll learn something. Page not found. Visit the homepage. Buy tickets, blah, blah, blah. Bummer. Covering the news of Abts Award. They're not going to say. Oh, wait. As her work has grown and grown on me with every viewing. Gosh, nobody's talking about what they, like, nobody's doing analysis of the paintings. I wonder if we can find that interview. I'm going to try and find that interview on YouTube, and maybe we can react to that. Okay, I could not find the the Turner Prize interview on YouTube, but this is the closest thing I could find. Here's an interview with Serpentine Galleries, big show. Let's look at this, see if she says anything about the paintings here. React to it. I hope you guys can hear this. I don't know. We'll see. I can't get rid of these subtitles, I'm sorry. Oops. Hold on. Go back. Let's see. She always starts the same way. I want to listen to this. Okay, so that's as it relates to that shaped canvas we were looking at before. I guess I'm wrong. I actually don't think I'm wrong as it relates to that canvas, because to make a canvas that any other shape than a rectangle is a pain in the butt. So you have to have a plan ahead of time. It doesn't seem arbitrary to me at all. Also, this video is from 7 or 11 years ago or something. So maybe oh my God, look at this. There's one right there. That's also shaped. Hilarious. There's one in the background right there. That's the same shape. She's been doing this for years. What the heck? Wow. Okay. Wow. I guess I have to take it back, but that just gives me more questions. Like, you're just doing this once in a while? Like, you just knock the corner off, the bottom left corner off some of your stretchers, and then if you paint them the way that this woman is saying, which is you just throw a wash down of acrylic and then improvise on top of that, which I get, like, that makes sense, and there's evidence of that in the paintings themselves. I feel like you can even just see right here in this painting, like that's like thick paint. And even in here, I don't know if you can see this in there. Those are ridges of paint that from things that she's painted previously that are underneath, right? So that's evident. There was none of that in the painting that we just looked at, but I've seen that in other work of hers as well. But man, this is just like kind of blowing my mind that she just has, once in a while, does one of these. And it looks, I hope they show this painting. There's a circle there also. Okay, so according to uh, the Serpentine interview, these are not planned out. So I guess I have to take an L there. I thought for sure she'd be doing some drawings. Um, Amazing. This is fun. All right, let's keep going and see see how wrong I am about all of it. Oh God, these are. I'm sorry, like not saying oh God to Toma, but like who cares about the damn space? Honestly, like here's another one. Wow, man, I did not know. I did not know. Super fun painting, by the way. Also, I guess she's just responding to this curve each time differently. I totally imagined that she would have a drawing down and then decide, oh, let's make a stretcher like that. But to now, I'm starting to think like, because as the curator said, like she's just working at the same dimensions essentially over and over and over again for years. Maybe she's thinking like, I need to introduce some variation the uh, in the constraint, like in the canvas itself, just to stay sane. I don't know, or to just as like a generative thing to do. Again, I'm projecting, but man, wow, was I wrong? What a fun painting, also though. Man, I want to look at a bunch of these now. Anyway, let's keep going. Oof, look at that. That's such a cool painting. Wow, I love that painting. Um, I'm not gonna do a full blown like analysis on the fly of this one again here now, but like I mean it all it all it all translates, I think, everything that I talked about originally translates over to this one. But now we've got like this other, we have different, it's a completely different character. Got this texture below and anyway, I'm gonna get I can't just sit here and watch this video. Otherwise, I'm going to get a content. They're going to bust me for like copyright infringement or something, which is not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to look at these paintings and analyze them. And here, I want to hear what the artist has to say about the painting specifically. So I'm going to speed through some of this until until I can hopefully find her talking about the paintings. So let's see. Uh, she's talking about a filmic experience of the paintings. I want to talk. Oh, here we go. Yeah, like right here, this is what they're talking about. This is what I was referring to also. So a lot of the sort of the painting is done just in layers on top of like on the canvas and not done in drawings beforehand. This I knew, but I also imagined that there would be. I just thought, honestly, with that one that we were looking at, it's like the um, the fact that that one doesn't contain any of these lines, any of those, any of those, and the fact that it had that rounded edge, I thought that one for sure was like planned out, but I guess not. Um, let's rewind a bit. Here we go. You have to, right? No. Damn. So, okay, a little bit of redemption. It's the first decision. It's got to be planned out. Um, Still not the way I imagined it, where she's doing it as a, it starts as a drawing, and then the decision to make it shaped comes from the drawing. She's starting with the round first, with the shaped canvas first. Damn, this is a fun looking one too. Now the casts, um, we didn't see. Maybe I'll look at some of those cast ones at another time. Oh wow. Oh, that's the cast. Crazy. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means exactly. The way to resolve the painting. It's, but whatever. Let's give her grace. Um, to really, it's more like it's a way to make another object out of one object, out of a painting, which is fine too. I don't get the resolution part, but that's maybe none of my business. Oh wait, maybe she explains it here. Let me go back. Okay. So she's, I guess maybe that's the comment, that that's the way to resolve it, is that she is going to finish that painting by continuing to work on it, so that with the goal of just getting it up to a level of thickness to where she can cast it. And maybe that is sort of like de facto the resolution to to the painting itself. That's sort of like a constraint she's putting on herself. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Um, anyway, let's let her finish her thought. Damn, that's so cool. She does large scale drawings, but apparently maybe they're not. They don't lead to paintings. They're just drawings, and they for the sake of drawing. She never uses tapes. I would not have guessed that. Wow. So what? She's just painting them. She's building up that thickness without tape. She's just carefully following those lines, and wow, I'm impressed that I've learned something I did not expect from about these paintings. Oh, let's hear. These ones are planned. I wonder if she's using rulers or something though, because these circles are so concentric. I mean, she must be using compasses and she's using tools for sure. And these lines are, even though they're kind of irregular, they're very straight. So she's using something. No, let's go back. She's about to talk about planning the paintings. I just want so badly to be vindicated. I want to hear her talk about how she makes a plan from a drawing for these paintings. And then I'll get to end the video. Okay, so she doesn't plan the smaller works at all. So I don't get to be vindicated. But anyway, okay, I'm gonna leave it off here where we started. Again, this was Tomma Abts. The title is Roman numeral 6, 2022, oil on canvas, 34 by 25 inches. Yeah, this is the first video I've ever done analyzing one of these paintings, but I love, or analyzing a painting on camera. I love looking at paintings and just talking about them and thinking about them. So if you like this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, put something in the comments. If you want me to look at something specific, I might do that. If you put it in the comments to let me know. I'm mostly just going to look at things that are interesting to me. Mostly abstraction, I think. But if you have a suggestion, let me know anyway. It'd be cool to see. And look at paintings.